Welcome to Tech Brothers with Amir. In this video, we are going to learn how to load only matching column data to SQL Server Table from Excel dynamically in SSIS Package. So this is a very complex scenario where you have different Excel files sitting in a folder, and then each Excel sheet on the file can have different columns. So let's open the very first one. And now we have ID, we have name and date of birth. This is the definition of our table as well. So we have 3 columns in our table. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the definition. So we have create table, dbo.Customer, ID, name and date of birth. So as this first Excel sheet is matching exact with our table definition, there should be no issue, and we should be able to load this even by using the Excel built-in source component in SSIS. But the problems come when we have extra columns. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the second sheet that has actually less columns. So you see that we have ID and name. We don't have any date of birth here, and we have only one sheet in this file as well. The last one I'm going to show you, that's the scenario where we can always get in trouble, and we have a date of birth, name, ID and extra column address. So you see that even order of columns is messed up, and then on top of that we have extra column. If we will try to load this information and with, let's say, even we come back here and we insert another column here. Let's go ahead and insert a column here called salary. Now we have a column even in the middle of our existing column. We have a date of birth, a name and ID. These are the columns we should be caring about that, but there are 2 extra columns, salary and address. So if we are using the Excel source, we are in a big trouble, and it will start throwing us error. Hey, your metadata of sheet doesn't match with the mapping and all those kind of things. So we want to handle this situation in a script task. So let's close these Excels. We know what different type of files with different sheets we get it. One thing, remember, we are only using one sheet per file, and there could be scenario where you have multiple sheets. So at the end of this demo, I'm going to change the code a little bit and show you even how to handle multiple sheets in this same scenario. Now let's go ahead, and I want to show you a few things before we start our SSIS package. The script I have already written, and it is posted to the TechbrothersIT.com website. Go to the TechbrothersIT website, and once you are there, you will be going to the SSIS video tutorial. Also, I'm going to put the link of the code in the description, so you can go from there. If you don't like, come in to the TechbrothersIT.com directly and go to description of a video, and you will find the link. Here we have how to load only matching column data to SQL Server Table from multiple Excel file, single sheet per file. But as I said that I will change the code and show you how to handle multiple sheets. So this is where you need to click. Once you click it, this is the definition of the table for my sample, and I have these different Excel files. Some people always ask me, hey, I don't find those Excel, can you attach those Excel? It is really complicated for me to attaching those Excels. I don't know how to provide you Excels. So but now I start using another way. I'm loading the script though. So before that, I always put the script here in the blog, and you could have copy from here. And I see that there are some problems when you will put the code, it's split into multiple lines, and I felt that pain. So what I did, I start loading this code on Google Drive, and you can click here, link to the script, and it will open that for you. So it will become much easier for you to copy. You can copy the entire thing and just use wherever you would like to use. So let's go back on the main page and go ahead and create our package. Now when you are going to the SSDT, right click on the SSIS packages, new SSIS package, and here we'll be saying load Excel dynamically only matching column. You guys might hear some voices coming through. Kids are up. It is early morning and of one of the Saturday. I thought I will get up at like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock and start working, and no noises will come by. I don't care about that. If you hear small noises, I'm gonna just ignore those and keep moving with our target. So first of all, we'll be creating these variables. So add variable, and I would like to add a variable for folder path. Why? Because when I'm going to deploy these packages to the different servers such as QA, UAT, the folder path can be changed. So I will use these variables in configuration and just update the configuration file or a SQL table. So I don't have to make changes in my SSIS package. So this is going to be string, sorry, not single, string. Okay, and then we will come back and use the path from here. This is our source path. Come back to the solution, paste it, and now we are going to create two more variables. One I'm going to call this one schema name, and this is the schema name of a table. So I'm going to go ahead and string it is a dbo in my case. Why I'm doing this? I mean, we know that schema name it is going to be dba, but why I'm doing it? Because in production maybe you have different schema for your table, and I want to make it a dynamic package. You can use this package for any of the table, so not only customer. So tomorrow you come back and say, hey, I'm getting new file, and that table is going to be sales. So you just come back, change your schema and change your table name and change your folder path where those files are, and run your package. It should be just fine and load all the data for you. So we are making things easy. So table name, and here it is going to be string as well, and I'm going to call this one customer. That's what the name of my table. Here is our table. We can create this one, and now we can see the information. So we have ID, name, and date of birth. Come back to the solution. Next part is the connection manager. So we are going to go ahead and create a ADO.NET connection. We will use this connection in the script task. So I have these already created. I'm going to drop them and I'm going to create a new one. It will ask us, hey, provide me the server name. So I always go to the SQL server, run my select @ server name, and copy from there, because there could be scenario you have tons of server. It take a time to refresh and give you the list. So, and then we have TechbrothersIT Database right here. Test connection looks good. Hit OK. Now hit OK. As you can see that the name of the connection manager is Amir PC SQL 2016 TechbrothersIT. That's not really great name. So change to some reasonable name, because when you're going to use this one in configuration, you want to understand what exactly this whole thing is. So change through some naming convention. I'm going to go ahead and change this one. I will call it db connection, CONN_ TechbrothersIT. So from here I would know, okay, this is a database connection and TechBrother is the database name. And the last part we will be doing here, we will be bringing a script task from the toolbox, and then we are going to go ahead and map the variables. I'm using C# as a scripting language in a script task. If you are good in a VB, you can use that, but all the code I have written, it is written in a C#. So that I'm going to leave this one as a default here. Otherwise, if you want to change it to Visual Basic, you can do it. Now go to the read-only variables, and here we will be mapping those variables so we can use them in the script task. Folder path, and then other one is the table name, and the last one is the schema. So let's find the schema one right here. We are all good. Click on edit script, and the last part what we have to do, we have to go back to the TechbrothersIT.com and copy the script and paste it there. As I said that you can copy from here. As first of all, we have to put these namespaces. It's opening right now. I'm gonna copy these namespaces first. We have to place this one underscore under region namespaces. That's where we will add them, and we will use different functions or instances or anything from these namespaces in our script. Let's go to the script task editor, and here you will find namespaces. So once you click on this positive sign here, a plus sign, you will see there are some default namespaces are already added. So we are going to go at the end, hit enter and control V. That will paste our namespaces. As we are reading the data from files, we will be using system.io, we will be using data.oledb and SQL client. So we will make use of these different namespaces to make connection to the Excel and write data to the SQL. Now we are good here. The last part come here in the scripting copy and paste. We will be using that code here under public void main. So go ahead and copy your code, copy from here, and you see that I already have put that. Okay, go to the public void main and then paste below code. So you can copy, and we are going to walk through quickly. This is a lot of code, so I don't expect you to like be done in 2 minutes. If you are good in that, maybe you don't need to take a look. So as a new developer or SSIS developer who don't have a whole lot of understanding in a C#, they probably need to walk through. And when different scenario come, at least you know what you are doing. Copy pasting is not just a great idea, because I was interviewing somebody and I asked them question, hey, you are great. I was interviewing actually somebody for DBA, and he said that I can just copy and paste the code from Google. I mean, great, but you don't even review, you don't even know what you are doing. I mean, how you expect the code to work? And it might work in a totally different direction, and it will delete your files and everything, what you are not expecting. So understand the code, try to read those lines, what exactly it is doing. So this is how you will be learning it. Now, first of all, we will be declaring these local variables, and so we can use the variables we have created in SSIS package. If I will not create these variables, it's just fine, but every time wherever I need to use this one, I have to use the entire dts.variables and user and folder path. That's a long way, and it will make my code really lengthy. And if I will create these variables here and save these variable values in this one, I can use these one everywhere. Next part is var directory, new directory and folder path. So we are creating this new instance, and then we are creating a file array where we will be saving all the file names from this folder path. So we know that folder path contain this path, right? So these files are there, so we'll read all those files and save into the string array. Once we save into the string array, we can loop through that array. Here I declare another variable called file full path, and then what I'm saying, get one book Excel file at one time. So that's what I want to do. Now I have all the file names in a string array, that's files. I want to loop through and save each one in this variable. So once I save that file name in the file here, when I'm looping through, I can create a full path. So I have the folder path, I needed the file name on each loop run. So let's say I'm looping through on each of the execution. When it is looping through, I want to get one file name at a time. So that this is, I'm creating file full path and saving the folder path plus the file name. Why? Because if I need to read this Excel, I need the full path. I know the folder, but I need also the file name. So that's why we are doing this one. Now, once that part is done, we are creating a string for a connection. I call it connection string, and a string header. Yes, I put the header because we have the header in Excel sheets. Maybe in the different scenario we will not, and we will use no, but as of now we are using the header. Then I'm saying a connection string, this variable is equal to, okay, provider Microsoft ACE.OLEDB 12.0, I'm using this driver, and data source is my file full path. That's the file I want to read. And remember, each loop, the value of file full path will change, because we have the files in the files array, and we are looping through them. So every time it will change and read a new file. Now once that's done, we have extended properties. Okay, Excel 12.0 header is yes, and IMAX is equal to 0. Present text as a series of Unicode characters. So what this will do, this property, if we have a 0, it means read the data Excel driver will decide okay what data type it is in our file. So if I will put imax is equal to 1, that means read everything as a string. So I want to read whatever the Excel decide, so I don't care about that part. And next I'm saying OLEDB connection, new instance of a connection string. So open a new instance for of OLEDB connection for this string. So that's our Excel. Then what we are doing, we are saying connection dot open the connection and read all the sheets. So in our case, we have actually one sheet in each file, and I'm saying sheet name is equal to blank, the new variable I have declared here, and right here I put the is equal to blank, so set the value. And then what I'm doing, I have sheets in the this I will say this I have a list of sheets in this data set, but what I want to do, I know that this actually there is only one sheet. So even I loop through, so I set the sheet name is equal to dr.sheetName table, and I checked before if it has a $, and all the sheet has $. So in our case, as it is single sheet, it is going to read the one sheet and save into the sheet name. We are going to have multiple sheets, and you see that I just use the for each, close it here, because I know there is only one sheet always coming in my scenario. So it will read that sheet and put into sheet name. But if you will have more than one sheet, what will happen? So it is going to save the last sheet name here. So in those scenarios where you will even by mistake you will put extra sheet in this Excel file, it is going to read the last sheet as of now what we have written. But I'm going to show you at the end how to even handle multiple sheets by using the same code. There is no big deal, we just have to copy this whole code and put it right here, because on each of the sheet name when we want to run the whole thing and check the columns, load it. Now let's go with only one sheet as of now. We get the sheet name. Next part, we are reading we are saying load the data table with sheet data, so we can get the column header. Why it is important? Because last time in the video I did, I was saying okay, the column names all will match with our table. Here we have different scenario. Remember, we have two extra columns, they does not match with our table definition columns. So that's the problem. So we need to, first of all, what I'm doing, I'm saying okay, OLEDB command, open a connection, okay, read from this sheet and top one. So read the header, and then what I'm doing, I'm filling into the data table, and then I'm closing this connection. So I read the first only one record, so I'm reading select top one record. Fine. Why? Because I want to prepare my header so I can validate against my SQL Server table. So I'm saying prepare header columns list, so we can run against database to get matching columns of a table or for a table. So you have, let's say it give us if it is all three are matching ID, name and date of birth, fine, it is going to still run the validation and then say okay, your all columns are matching. If we have extra columns, so we don't want to load them because it will fail. There is no column available in database, so it will fail. So we don't want, we want to ignore those columns. So here what I did, I have string Excel header column, so I use this variable, and then I'm saying string SQL query to get match in a column. So I declare two variables here. Then I'm looping through that data table. So we know that we have this data table we have created here, and then we are concatenating that column list. So we build that. Once we have that Excel column header list, so we created this and save into the Excel header column variable. Now once we have it, then what we are going to do, we are going to take that and go against the database and get the matching columns. We will ignore any column. So we are saying select stuff, I write this query, this will concatenate the columns from SQL Server table which exactly match with the with Excel columns. It will ignore columns which are in Excel but they are not in SQL. So I will show you, we will let's enable this part. So I want to show you actually both things. here. So now once we get the matching columns from the database, what we want to do, then we want to go back and run that again against our Excel and get the data. Now here, see, I'm using use a edu.net connection, and if you remember, I have changed my data connection manager name. So here it should be db connection underscore TechbrothersIT. So very small things can create errors. So you want to have same variable name, same connection manager name what we have created in SSIS package. Now here, get the matching column list from SQL. So we build this string. We need to run this against the SQL server. So we are saying, okay, SQL command, we are creating a new command to use my edu connection, create statement, create command. Okay, create this command, and the text is a SQL query to get matching a column. So this is the query, use it, and then once you run it, it will return us a string, and it is we are going to save into the SQL column list. Now once I have exact matching column list from a table, and I would already have ignored extra columns from the Excel, now I need to get the data for those matching columns from Excel. So let's say salary and other address column is not there in my Excel. I don't want to get the data for those columns. So what I did, then I went back, I use the Excel again, and I say select SQL column list, because those are the matching columns and I'm getting data for those columns from the Excel sheet again. Then I'm filling a data set, data table 1, and then finally I'm coming to the SQL bulk copy. Now here we have a destination table that is a schema name plus our table name, and once we have that, we will be using for each, and we say, okay, column in dt1.columns. So we are saying whatever the columns are here, then map those columns to the table by using bc.column-mapping.add. So here you see the point. We are already know that we have verified against the table, and we got the data in this data table 1 that's exact matching columns with our table. So we extracted data from the Excel, whatever for the matching column. So this mapping is going to do, this is going to map these columns with our database columns, and then finally we will insert the data. I know there is a complex, but you have to walk through this code a couple of times and you would understand. Let's do one more time real quick thing. You are creating these variables. Okay, you are looping through the files, and then once you loop through the files, you will get then you will have only one sheet. In this case right here, you save that sheet name, and then what you do, you go ahead and grab the top one record from Excel, because once you have that record, what you will do, you will loop through and make a list of those columns, and then you are gonna go ahead and check against your SQL Server table, and if there is any extra column in your Excel, you will ignore that, only get the matching columns from SQL table. And once you have that, here you will be running a gain query to your Excel sheet and get the data for matching column. Once you do that, then finally you will be loading the data to your SQL Server table. I hope this will help, and let's go ahead and run it, and then we can take further look here. And turn on these message boxes that show, so you will see what exactly is happening. That's a lot of talk, and I hope this is helpful. Remember, TechbrothersIT, this is the first Excel file. This has only one sheet, and there are exact number of columns here with our table definition. We have ID, name, and date of birth. Run the package. Start. Okay, here is the query. That is we read the Excel header, and then prepare this query. So you see select stuff, select a column. So and if you take a look here, name in ID, name, and date of birth, these are the three columns I am getting from Excel, and I'm checking against the system tables for my table called customer. So for dbo.Customer, if you see here, my schema is dbo, and the table name is the customer. So you can see here, I'm gonna first, sometimes people try to copy from here, like I can't select this one, I want to copy it, so you always hit here anywhere on this window and hit Control C, and once you do it and then come back, let's open a new query window and Control V, you see that this is how your query will look like. You can remove this part and remove this part, and now you are good. You have to kind of reformat a little bit, and once you are done, you are good. If we run this one, if you see here, this is the query I'm using. So I have ID, name, and date of birth. They came from Excel, and I'm gonna run this one. Once I run it, and if you see here, I get the date of birth, ID, and name. So this is exactly matching with our table definition. So in next file, remember, we will get only ID and name, and if we will pass those here, it will still match those and tell us, oh, you have only two matching column. And tomorrow, if there is a new one is coming, such as salary and address, those are not even, and now I'm gonna go ahead and put the date of birth, because I have the date of birth. If I don't even, it's not gonna care, it's gonna give me ID and name. And now you see the point and address. Let's run this one, and we should get only three columns. We should get ID, name, and date of birth from this query. So these two columns will be ignored. So we run it, and you see that we have date of birth, ID, and name. So we got that. And even Excel has more columns. We really don't use them. It ignores them, and then we get these columns, and we use these columns to read the only data for these columns from Excel sheet, and then load to our SQL Server table. Now this is good. Hit OK. Okay, these are the three columns. Fine. Matching column, date of birth, ID, name. Fine. Okay, now first part, let's go ahead and take a look on our table. If that first sheet is loaded, and we see that data is loaded. Now this is looping through. So we next we have ID and name in the second Excel file. Then we have only one sheet. So hit OK. Now we see that, oh, ID and name is, and oh, matching column is ID and name. Fine, and it's loaded. So you see that now it should be data for, we have a ID and name. We don't have data for date of birth in the second Excel, so it loaded only two columns data. The third one, where we had extra columns, you see that here it is telling us date of birth, salary, name, ID, and address. So check all these columns if they are present in our SQL Server table, and we know that they are not. So it is going to return us only matching. So these are the columns we read from Excel. Then these are the matching. So we have a date of birth, ID, and name. Hit OK. It's completed. So you can go and say, take a look here. It's all completed. Fine. And now you go back to SQL. Take a look, and you see that the data from third Excel file is loaded for only those columns. We have ID, we have a name, and we have a date of birth. The salary and address columns are totally ignored. So this is awesome. Like you know, this is handling so many problems for us, and we don't have to worry with the, once we have this code, once we have this package as a template, we can use for any different Excels, and you load the matching columns data to our SQL Server table. Now the last part quickly we want to do, remember, we've been talking, and there could be scenarios where you will have multiple sheets on your Excel file. Let's say if we go ahead and create other one, ID, name, and date of birth. This is I will say 1001. Name, this is second file, first file, second sheet, and we can use 2001. Fine. Now with the existing, if I will run this package, it is going to not load the first sheet, because with the for each loop, what we have, it is looping through, and it is saved into the sheet name, so it will keep looping and it will save the last sheet name. So let me close this one, go ahead and drop this table for now and recreate, so it will be empty. Now we don't have any data, and if I will run this package now, it is going to ignore the first sheet. So you see here, if I will run it, date of birth, name matching, fine. And now if I will go back and take a look, it is loading first file, second sheet. So you see, it totally ignored the first sheet because our code is not handling that. It was written to read only one sheet per file. So that's the problem. And I don't know if that's the problem, or sometimes actually those are the scenarios we always know, okay, we are always going to get one sheet. So that's really the case. But if you know that now you will be getting more than one sheet per file, you can handle that as well. I'm going to make some changes right now and show you, so your package will be more smarter and it should be able to handle more than a single sheet per file. Now we are going to go ahead and remove the message boxes because there's a lot of message boxes here. Put the comments because after testing you don't need them, and always I put the comments in case I need it later. And now you are going to copy this whole thing. So you see this part, that's where we are setting the sheet name. So if there are multiple sheets, it's keep looping and setting the last sheet name. What we want to do, let's say it loop through and get the first sheet name, and we want to go ahead and run that code and load it. So the code is already there, so we are going to just go ahead and down all the way and cut it, and now come back and put after the if right here. So now we paste it here. It should be able to handle it because it will read the first sheet, it will load that sheet, then it will loop through, come back, read the second sheet and load it, and that's it. Fine. Now let's save it, close it, hit OK. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this table one more time and recreate, and now we have no records. It's not a good idea to drop the table every time and recreate it. I will say truncate the table, truncate table. Yeah, it was written there drop table, so I was making use of this drop table all the time, but it's not a really great idea. Like you go ahead and drop it. No, you don't drop it, you just truncate it, or at least prepare your table, whatever, for the next run. Now if we run it, it is going to load two sheets from file 1, it is going to load one sheet from file 2, and it is going to load one sheet from Excel file 3. So go ahead and run it. Now we select, and we have 4 records. You see, these two are coming from the first file, and this is coming from the second file, this is coming from the third file, and the second file and third file has only one sheet, but this was where we had 2 sheets. But you don't have to worry if tomorrow you can get multiple sheets. You can get 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, even you have here in the, let's say this is a ID and name, we even a column is missing, and we have totally no column name. Even this is wrong information on the second, so we have second file, second sheet. You need to notice few things. I am even not caring about the sheet names, so sheet names can be anything. You control S, and now we have 2 sheets per first 2 files and 1 sheet in the third, so it doesn't really matter. Now if you go ahead and truncate the table and run it, it is going to load just fine. So you can have as many as sheets you want, and it is going to run the same code for each of the sheet and make a verification. If the columns are matching, with whatever are matching, it is going to load the data, and if the columns are not matching, it is going to ignore them. Oh sorry, it is. Now you see that these two first one are coming from the first file and the 2 sheets. These are coming from the second file and 2 sheets, and as there was a column with a no name, that ignored it. And first for the first sheet we had only a ID and a name, so it was null. And this was actually there was no column date of birth available in second sheet as well for the second file. And this is coming from the third, where we have extra columns in the file, and their even order is very messed up. So this is that, like salary here and address here and all. Okay, now that's it for this demo, and I hope you learned something out of it. And I'm really sorry for taking a whole lot of time and explaining all those points, but they're really important. Once you get used to these 4 or 5 different scenarios, you can create any type of package. You can handle any type of logics, because once you understand this concept, like how this if else, how this read in a file, coming back to the table, how these all things are working, so you can just copy paste the parts of this code and build your own packages according to your scenarios. I will see you guys in next video. Thanks.